Hello and welcome back to Tube Talk, episode 3. I'm James, and today I'm joined by Anthropomantic Fiend. Do you prefer like a shorthand name or like Anthro? Or
I mean, I go by Anthro for short. My real name is Martin, but Anthro Fiends, Martin, all of it really works for me. Anthropomantic Fiend tends to be a mouthful for a lot of people, so
yeah,
just use
I guess I'll
short.
call you Anthro. I guess that's the thing. Right, so I suppose like unlike the last couple of times, I don't really exactly have a topic because last time was about like stop motion movies and things, but this time I guess more general, I suppose. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, basically?
Yeah. So I'm, I guess, a horror tuber for the most part. I review horror movies, and I have a series where I just recommend movies, books, just general things that tends to be sort of horror adjacent, but not necessarily. And I'm a musician as well, a guitarist and a singer, so I post a lot of that stuff as well. So that's generally where my sort of interests and content lies in terms of what I do on YouTube.
Okay, so I guess you're probably like the youngest person I've talked to. Everyone else has been either 30 or for 40, I guess. Not
Right,
the
right.
so it's like you've just finished. I guess over America, you've graduated. You something, right?
I just graduated high school, so I'll be moving on to college soon.
Sweet. I mean, I've been for the whole college thing several times, so I guess that's. Well, I guess I'm still old. Yay. Um. So where did this whole thing come from?
Uh, this whole thing is kind of an interesting story because I haven't been doing this for that long. I'm probably one of the newest people to sort of the horror community that I've
Hmm.
fallen into, but I started uh, using my YouTube account last year just because I wanted to be able to subscribe to other people's content, not really with the intent of actually making anything.
Hmm.
And I uploaded a few uh, just covers of songs that were received pretty well, but I didn't really think I'd be doing this regularly or anything. But uh, I've been following The Horror Show, which is a channel that just covers horror movies for a long time. And through them, I discovered the Creepy Channel Crawl, which was uh, a live stream event in June that had a bunch of horror channels coming together, and each channel would do an hour, and people would move from channel to channel. And so I found them and their hour segment, but then I moved to the next channel and discovered a bunch of channels that I had never heard of, and just this whole underground world of horror YouTube that I didn't know existed. And a lot of people who were doing this who are even younger than me, just like 13 or 12 or so. And I realized that I have a YouTube channel, I have editing software, and uh, I could be doing something like this. And I just decided this was something I wanted to do like right then, I think.
Hmm. Oh yes, but back in episode 1, Marty talked a bit about how welcoming like the horror community was and things like that. Did you feel that way when you kind of tried to enter that scene? No.
Uh, did I feel how? Sorry.
I guess did you feel welcome or was it easy to I guess like interact with the horror community or whatever? Or...
Yeah, I felt really welcomed. I think actually I wasn't I was like, if I can, you know, be on the same level as these people who I'm a fan of right now, that would be the goal. But I don't really expect to get there. And like day one, within posting my very first review, I got a comment on it from Dave Maggot, who is now one of
Right.
my closest YouTube friends. So uh just they really are just really open and accepting to everyone, and it's not it really doesn't feel like everybody's on the same level.
Yeah. I mean, from what I can see, I haven't seen any like kind of exclusionary elements of this fandom. Like, I'm not really a part of it, but like, I guess interacted with people from it, like you, obviously. But I know it's interesting. Like, it seems very, yeah, I guess inclusive. It seems, I don't know. I haven't seen much like, so I've been a part of a lot of fandoms that are very exclusionary, shall we say, like to put it politely.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know. I don't think if I could like get attacked for having an opinion on Dracula or something. So like that, I think that's something that's well good.
yeah. I mean, it's not to say that we don't, occasionally fight about our opinions on movies, but it's always in fun. It never crosses some kind of line where I'd get kicked out of the community for having a contrary opinion on The Shining or something.
Hmm. Okay, so you said you can't. I guess so. Obviously, you started out with like music, or like, was that like? I don't know. How was that? Like, how would that start off?
That's a weird story too, because with music, I really did start out more wanting to do just early on before I'd even considered doing YouTube or anything. Just I was more of a movie fan, but my dad bought me a guitar, and it was this Kirk Hammett from Metallica has this line of horror movie guitars that he's done with monsters, and on the front of them I have one that has Vincent Price on it, and
Hmm.
he brought that home one day, and I was like, I want that guitar, and he said, you can have this, uh, but you have to start taking lessons and do at least 2 years of guitar lessons, or I won't let you have the guitar. It's mine. So through that, I started taking guitar lessons, and I hadn't really been into like bands or anything. I just listened to movie soundtracks at that point mostly. But from that point on, I started finding different bands, and now I'm a full blown metalhead, I suppose. So it just sort of blossomed from the instrument more than the music.
Hmm. Oh, cool. So I guess like I suppose those the videos where you do music. I suppose they're just like I don't know what do they mean to you? Like,
It's a way for me to I just I really do enjoy performing music. It's just a good feeling to me. It also allows me to sort of, in some ways, even though there's a lot of crossover between metalheads and horror fans, I found I listen to a lot of music that not everybody in the community I'm in has heard, and I just like sharing things with people, which is why I tend to review a lot more obscure movies. So I kind of use it as a way to share music that people might not have heard with people.
hmm, okay. on. Oh god, I've somehow lost. Don't have the question. Um, oh, I'll have to edit some of this out. I think.
All right. I'm
Yeah.
curious how you started doing YouTube though. What made you want to do this?
Well, back in the day when I was like 13, 14, and everyone wanted to do a YouTube channel back then. Like, because you could see all these people getting popular and big, and just like, well, mainly it was gaming YouTubers, I guess. So I just wanted to be one of them for a little bit. But like, I mean, I did eventually end up getting to do gaming stuff, so I guess that did pan out, but not in the way I expected. Like me and my friends were going to form this like little community where like would like collab with each other, and it's a little like connected thing like that you see like I don't know, like the Yogscast or whatever, that kind of like big thing that eventually becomes its own little, I guess, corporation or something. That was the our biggest pipe dream, which we immediately buried after like a year. Um, so I had this channel that was just like left there for when I could use it, and I guess I discovered the whole like law YouTube scene, like people like doing theory crafting and stuff like that. So I guess like for some reason that made us interested, and I guess I was still interesting in doing like YouTube at the end. So I came back, gave it a bit of a try, and I guess made I don't know, like made it a bit up as I went along. I guess is the best term. Um, Eventually, I was able to reach a point where I could like talk without a script and things like that. I was able to talk for like 2 hours to myself, well, to no one really. So I mean, I'm sure no one watched them all the way through, but I could talk for 2 hours about a dumb dinosaur movie, and that'd be great, I guess. Um, and then towards the end, I guess I stopped because like I was in a bad place, I guess. So I stopped for like I think it was about like 9 months, and then I came back and started doing stuff like this, I guess. Um,
Right.
yeah, so before it was because I was interested in the whole fandom scene, but now it's because I guess I'm interested in people, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean,
I yeah. When I sort of, because I never really thought I would be doing this. When I sort of looked at YouTube, I did look at like a lot of the gaming channels earlier on, and I was like, I want to be able to do that. Just like looking at like what really really big people like Game Grumps do, and just seeing like people playing games and just chatting with each other about random stuff.
yeah,
That seems like something I'd want to do, but I ended up taking a completely different direction with that.
yeah, like so I don't think you'd like. Would you ever like regret not trying a different style or something? Like, do you ever think about what you could have done? Or
I do, yeah, and I do sometimes I want to branch out into doing other things with my channel. I actually recently uh I did a contest entry video, and one of the questions was if you weren't doing your channel based on horror movies, what genre would you be doing it on? And it made me realize uh just how much I love fantasy books and movies, and how much I want to talk about that stuff on my channel. So uh, I have branched out from just doing horror stuff into doing more of the music stuff, but I also really want to talk about other genres on my channel.
yeah, like I definitely know the feeling of wanting to like branch out. I guess like once you've reached a point where you have a type of content you can do that people will watch, then so I guess sometimes you feel trapped by it, I suppose. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, so eventually, I guess I had to leave when I thought I wasn't like doing anything to really help people, and it wasn't really helping me. So I don't know, like I guess I'm trying to do things I've never done before now. I think like well, it's something new, I guess. I mean, do you think do you see yourself doing like a radical change with what you're doing in the future, or do you think it's
I don't think I'm like gonna completely revamp the kind of content I'm making. I really just do see myself adding to what I'm already doing because
hmm,
I'm enjoying doing the fairly regular horror movie reviews, but I'm trying to branch out from that and do some different videos pertaining to other things alongside that. So I've done, like I said, the music thing, but not just performing music. I've started doing some album reviews and things,
oh yeah,
and talking about music is it's just completely different sort of language than movies. So it's I can't really just it feels different
hmm,
than just doing another movie review, and uh, it makes it a little bit more exciting because it's a different format, and I'm reviewing stuff from a lot of my favorite bands. So I just when it comes to music, I think I get like really excited and talk for even longer than I do about movies sometimes.
oh, yeah. Like I've always been interested in how we like I guess review music because like I know I know when I like a song, but I don't know how to like I guess dissect it. Do you know much like about that kind of thing? Like,
I do to some extent. Uh, I'm no like music theory expert. I have friends who are. I have a friend who's this huge jazz nerd and can run
hmm,
circles around me when it comes to music theory. But I feel like I know enough, and I know enough about what each instrument is doing to sort of, at least when it comes to rock and metal music. With other music, sometimes I have no idea what's happening. But with a lot of the music I'm talking about, I know enough to dissect it. When it
hmm,
comes to reviewing it as in terms of whether or not I like it, it's really just in terms of I have to listen to the album enough times to figure out what's uh grabbing me, what's sticking the most in my memory, and what's affecting me the most emotionally.
hmm. And so do you like mainly like want to talk about like music you already know, or do you like what would you like try and cover something you've never like experienced before? Like, let's say if you want to, I don't know, review, I don't know, let's say a jazz album. If you want to do that, like, would you do something you hadn't listened to before? Or
I think I would. When it's like an album that I've listened to regularly, I usually do just like a recommendation
hmm,
video on that as opposed to a review because I already know that I love this album. Uh, but the reviews I've already done have been for bands that I'm already familiar with, just new music from them that I haven't heard before, and really just sort of sticking within rock and metal. But it would be interesting to branch out and like try to review something from a completely different genre, although I am not as familiar with what's going on there, so it would be an interesting thing to try.
hmm. Yeah, like I say, I wouldn't have the foggiest clue how to review music because, I think well, that's something because like I talk a lot about like how I think you should review a movie. Now I think you should do it like in the like I guess the most good faith way possible. I've no idea how we could like I guess talk about like music in bad faith. Like I've no like how do you we could have like I don't know a Star Wars fandom for like music like I don't know well maybe some music fandoms are bad. I have no idea.
There's some sort of subsets of metal that have some serious problems in them. If you've seen a show like Metalocalypse before, they really do caricatures of that, and black metal, which is some of the harshest, most extreme metal, has some really hardcore fans who are like, if this music doesn't sound like it was recorded with a potato in the forests of Norway, then I hate it. It has to be the rawest, most extreme thing in the world, or it's nothing to them. They're just absolute purists. That's not everybody, but that's kind of the stereotype that's come up.
So I suppose it's like the mainstreaming of it, like a really niche like style. Like I suppose that would be not the best thing for them, I suppose.
Yeah, and there are sort of bands that have become more mainstream there, and they really hate them because they're like, oh, they've sanitized our style that was supposed to be raw and underground, and it's just like, no, they're just not doing the same thing over and over, which is what you're doing, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose like because like I mean, I used to listen to like I guess Green Day a lot, and eventually like I guess a lot of people kind of like I suppose resented them because they became I suppose by their standards everything they like railed against by some kind of we I guess because it became corporate, and obviously Green Day are very I guess political, sort of like I suppose that's the only kind of like I guess extreme kind of takes I've seen where it's like, oh, like you've changed, you're not my friend anymore, get out, that kind of thing. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I sort of see that, and it is an interesting thing, especially with punk bands, because it is such a DIY and sort of coming from a place that is by definition not mainstream. So when punk bands become bigger and more popular, a lot of people will be like, is this even punk anymore?
Yeah,
Because
like
it does come from the DIY place.
yeah, there's like I don't know, you have maybe like 3 years before you've like, reached a point where you're too popular, and that goes against your own message, I guess. Like, as weird as it is, like you like you have to be the guy banging the drums in his garage, and not like, and then once you've turned to I don't know, Metallica or something, like that's it. That's I mean, I suppose that's over for you, I suppose. I mean,
Right.
like I mean, hearing lots like ragging towards Green Day's like newest stuff. So I suppose I think it's finally reached a point where it's like it's too mainstream now, to the point where like I'm just seeing nothing but like vitriol, I guess. So I guess I suppose there's always some toxic element of even in music, I guess.
Right. I had something. I'm forgetting it now.
Story of my
Uh,
life.
the interesting thing with sort of bands that are sort of alternative or DIY by definition becoming mainstream is if they have something sort of important that they're trying to say with their music, that does help that reach a wider audience. So if they can sort of stick to their original intent on that level, then I think that's a good thing. But that's hard. I
Yeah,
know that I think Kurt Cobain from Nirvana hated the fact that the band was becoming successful because
mm.
people just wanted to hear "Smells Like Teen Spirit" over and over and over again. They weren't listening to what else he had to say.
Yeah, it's the old say the line bar meme, basically. like like you end up having to repeat your greatest hits, I guess.
Yeah.
It must suck, like, I guess, peaking before your band is established, I guess. Like having, like, I don't know, like 5 songs everyone listens to, and then you've made 5 albums since then, and be like, and no one really cares that much as they did
Mm-hmm.
for nostalgia for the old stuff. So I guess, I don't know. I don't know how you fix that either. I don't think there is a way.
Yeah. I do, when I really like a band, try to listen to everything that they put out instead of just what's popular over and over again. But everybody, I think I think bands do need to have some kind of mainstream song that will pull fans in, but a lot of people don't go past whatever those 3 popular songs are from a band, which is a shame.
Yeah. Okay. Before I forget, I do a thing where I have to pull up people's socials now on the screen, because one, it makes, I guess, the screen look a bit prettier, I guess, and two,
Mm-hmm.
it's probably helpful, probably.
Yeah.
So wrong button. Okay, yay. All right, so there you go. YouTube, Anthropomantic Fiend. That's a YouTube, isn't it? That's good.
That's the one.
Yeah. Okay. That's like, so you have. I mean, so what's metal amino when it's at home?
Metal Amino is an interesting story. A lot of, like, metalhead YouTubers were kind of being sponsored by Metal Amino earlier on, so I was like, oh, this has to be a cool thing. I should be on this. And it is just a place. There's an amino for basically everything. This one just happens to be for heavy metal, and on there, I had this before I was doing my YouTube stuff, and I actually, wrote some sort of bloggy album review type stuff on there.
I see that. Like,
So,
it seems that your album reviews seem to be gaining the most traction, or at least likes, anyway.
yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I don't know, I mean, from an outsider's perspective, this seems like people are like this sort of stuff. So I don't know, like, so are you just posting like the same stuff you would put on your other socials, or is there like stuff you wouldn't see like anywhere else?
Uh, with Metal Amino, there is a focus specifically on metal. So if I, do a video or a piece of artwork or something that I am posting other places and it is sort of relevant to the metal stuff, I will post it there. But I'll also, sometimes do album reviews, or sometimes they do weekly challenges where you have to, come up with your ideal heavy metal winter playlist or something, or score a movie
Hmm.
using only metal songs, and sometimes I'll do those for fun. So
Sweet.
that's stuff you'll only see there.
I don't know, cool. Like I say, like, I don't know how like, if it's worth sharing like Instagram or Facebook or anything. I don't think that's that important. I mean, unless you.
Yeah. Yep. My Facebook page that I have for Anthropomantic Fiend it's basically the same as my YouTube page. It's just a way to share my videos,
Hmm.
essentially. And yeah, and Instagram's there if you want it. The link's
Yeah.
there under all of my videos.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll definitely think of some more questions to pad some time. um, oh well, so I suppose I always have to ask this each episode, like, what's the thing that you want people to like take away from your stuff? What do you want people to like learn, whether it's about you or if it's like you're trying to teach like people some kind of message or something? Like, what do you think you're trying to do?
With my videos, I really am trying to expose people to, art that they haven't been exposed to before, whether that be movies or music or something else, or be able to have a discussion with people who have seen that about a piece of art, movies or music that they have already been with. So it's really about connecting with people and sort of expanding and exploring when it comes to movies, art, or any art form, really.
Okay. So, I mean, did you have? Oh, sorry. Did you have something there?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you the same question for your
Okay.
stuff.
So I suppose like when I came back, I wanted to fix some issues I had, and so one of the ways like I find like I guess fulfillment in the things I do, I guess, is feeling like I've made some kind of impact or something. So like I mean as dumb as they are, like when I do address a part of commentary, I'm trying to like teach people how I think they should see try and look at movies. So, like, I don't want to be just a movie guy, so like I'm doing this too. Obviously, these kind of things. My big thing is, I guess, is trying to learn about people, like I guess really see all their issues and what they're trying to do with themselves. But it's also, I don't know. I guess I'm trying to do some good with what I have, I guess. So I'd think that this, like, let's say this video would teach someone something. I don't know what exactly it would be, but I'd feel like with one of these, someone could take away something positive, like, and I want to put out more positive energy than negative, because I used to rant about things a lot, I guess, or complain about things, and I'm trying not to be that anymore. So like, I suppose, I mean, that's it. Like, I mean, I've got other ideas for things I want to do, but this is kind of it right now, I guess. It's just, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
It's interesting that you bring up ranting as well, because I don't do that often. I'm a very forgiving movie critic, I feel like, even when it comes to like the really, really low budget, terribly produced movies. I will find some good in them, but I have done a few movie reviews where they did turn into rants. But I still try to frame that in a positive light and just try to find the humor in that more than just an angry hate fest, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, there's something inviting about like that kind of hate fest stuff. Like, there's obviously it just used to be very intoxicating, but like I think too many people tried it, and I think it became too, I guess, like mainstream for its own good. I think like it wasn't just about reviews anymore. It was mainly about how angry can you be, how much can I laugh at someone being angry about a movie. I guess I just don't want to be that either, I suppose.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I should probably. I need to go around to watching more reviews, but like, when you're reviewing a movie or something, what are you like how do you come at it basically? Like, do you have?
I have like just different elements of the movie that I'll try to look at as I'll watch the movie in advance and take notes on it as I watch, just on uh the storyline, uh the visuals of the movie, what's visually appealing or works for the movie, the acting, and also the characters and how they're portrayed. You know, the music. I like talking about the score of the movie a lot.
Mm.
And just I try to look at all the different elements in the movies and see what sort of works and what doesn't from a technical standpoint, but also try to look at what I enjoyed about it. Because even if something is not good per se, just technically, I will enjoy it. Especially, bad acting can be good in some cases.
Mm. Like I say, uh, I couldn't like really say anything bad about that approach at all. I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, like if I don't like, you can't always agree with everyone really. So it's not like I could like watch a review of some movie that you didn't like and I did, and be like, oh well, I can't attack you for it every time, because like there's a point where if you're coming out at a movie in the right way, you can still not like it, but at least like I don't know, like come at it in a way that's well, I suppose I know respectful, or I guess or whatever the word is supposed to be. I don't know,
Yeah.
so like I don't think people have to agree. I just think that people need to like know their own biases and actually like think about like how to talk about movies a bit more. And I think well, like that's obviously something you think about, obviously. So I don't know.
Yeah. And I do also enjoy sort of looking at like not just, you know, how a movie makes me feel and just the technical, what works and what doesn't. I like looking at sort of the subtext of what a movie might be trying to say,
Mm,
and just sort of that kind of deeper analysis. But that is a lot of times a lot harder to do with a lot of the low budget movies I review, because a lot of the movies weren't made with that in mind. It's not to say that there isn't some kind of subtext or deeper meaning to some of
yeah,
them, but it's harder to find.
yeah. I mean, sometimes it's hard to know which subtext is presented and which one you're just reading into. Sometimes, especially with like some of these lower budget movies. Like let's say you're watching a 1950s monster movie or something. You could say, oh,
Mhm.
it's about nuclear proliferation or something like that. But, like it could literally just be the most like bare bones like political take of all. So like I don't know, like there's no I don't think there's any real metric of saying how like subtextual swimming is, I guess, because like I think it's still too, it's just it's too based on the person, really.
Yeah, and but at the same time, regardless of what the intent of the filmmaker was, I feel like uh, no, I'm not gonna say no reading of a movie is wrong, because there's some examples where I'd be like, where did you get that? But it really, regardless of what the person who made the movie, or any piece of art, book, music, whatever they were trying to get across, what you
Hmm.
take away from that, I think, is just as valid.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I could say is a bad reading on a movie is if you're going into something and your own like and you see your own biases in the movie, but they're not actually like there. Like
Hmm.
I know And I know that there was some crazy guy who talked about Star Wars Episode 4 being a metaphor for like womanhood and like childbirth and stuff, and then blowing up the Death Star was like insemination, and it's like I think you're coming at it from the wrong angle, dude. I don't think this is like about the destruction of the family or something. I think it's just a movie where you fight bad guys. I mean, like,
Yeah,
like
and that's a thing actually, because in my English class at school, my English teacher loves to read a sexual subtext into everything, and it drives me crazy, regardless of what it is. And I'm just like, does everything have to represent sex? Everything.
are we talking like consensual stuff or like the other kind?
Like, well, let me think. What examples did he give? He literally compared like the plot structure to like, rising action climax to orgasm, which is, you can make that parallel, but that doesn't mean that everything's about sex. It's not.
Yeah. I mean, you probably just shouldn't do it. Really, I mean, if there's words to describe, how what that is, there's not much point replacing them for something that just which is the same, but about I don't know, like ass and titties,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but that'd be sounds like a colorful character though, like a
Yeah,
interesting
he,
person.
he is an interesting person, and he's a really nice guy, and he did teach me a lot about reading more into uh stories than just the surface level, but he does sometimes go on tangents with his own readings of things that I do not agree with at all.
Oh yeah, that was always the interesting thing about English, because like they can only like teach you so much, because there's always like there's things they can't say, obviously, like this, like I don't know, like, let's say Animal Farm or something, which is obviously like a satire on the whole USSR stuff. Uh, like you can only, they're only allowed to talk about it to a certain extent. But they have to present a view of the world of that story in like a kind of like a bare bones way. So like it's interesting, because like if like let's say if it wasn't a school and it was just a random dude talking about a book, they'd probably go into it a lot more. But like there's some kind of limits to the education system, I guess.
In some ways,
Yeah.
but yeah.
But then you have other end of the spectrum where a guy goes in to talk about dicks, and when he's talking about some kind of like children's book or something, like, I suppose that there's two sides of the coin there, I suppose.
Yeah, which is kind of what happened, and what really frustrated me when we talked about Alice in Wonderland, which is one of my favorite stories ever. Say what you want about Lewis Carroll or Charles Dodson and who he was as a person, but I don't want, his possibly being a pedophile to be the only thing people take away from reading that book, because there's so much more to it. But that's kind of what happened in our class.
Yeah. Oh, just the teacher, or the students, like.
The teacher brought that into the discussion, and that's really all people were talking about when it came to the book from that point on.
Of course, yeah. Yes, so it's like, because that now, once the element's been introduced, now you have to see the subtext of that and everything. Like somehow this pedophile is going to make an entire book about his life or something. Like, probably not. Like, at least not. But like once you've been hit with that like extreme thing, now you can't get out of your mind. Like,
Yeah.
to the point where you could even argue, did it become like a joke, or was it like a serious thing?
there were points where it sort of started to become a joke, but people were still sort of seriously reading stuff like that into the book. And I'm not saying all of that isn't there. I think some of it is, but there's a lot more to that book. There's a lot of weird mathematical stuff. There's sort of satire on Victorian England at the time. There's wordplay. There's this really just interesting story about a girl taking control of her own life, and but people just want to focus on Lewis Carroll was probably a pedophile, and that's all they're seeing, and that frustrates me.
I mean, so it's one of those things that's kind of changed recently. I guess J.K. Rowling's a prime example recently. Probably shouldn't go on too much into that, but is the thing. Well, the problem is Lewis Carroll is dead and J.K. Rowling's alive. So like authorial intent still exists. Like obviously you can talk about the degrees of separation when someone like, I don't know, George Orwell or something's like not around. So then you can talk about it and then talk about whatever you want about it. But now you can only, like, let's say Harry Potter, you can only see what seems to be presented now, and there's no, I suppose there's, I mean, it's J.K. Rowling died tomorrow, and somehow 20 years passed. I think opinions on those books would change dramatically. I don't know. I mean, they're already pretty negative now, to be honest, but they would go somewhere.
Yeah, and learning what we've learned about J.K. Rowling hasn't completely turned me against Harry Potter. It does mean that, you know, with Lewis Carroll or someone who was like H.P. Lovecraft, who was just a horrible, racist human being, I have no qualms with, you know, buying copies of their stories because they're dead. I'm not supporting these people, but with Rowling, it's a different story. I don't.
Like I like philosophy stuff, so I read like that, and like, let's say like the works of Plato or something. But Plato believed that slavery was cool, so like there's always something bad about your favorite person.
Yeah,
seems so.
Yeah, but you know, when it comes to someone who's still alive like that, I don't want to support what they're doing, but what we've already gotten from them, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think
it's not really in their hands anymore. We can sort of, the stories belong to us now, in my eyes.
Oh yeah, I get that. Like, I mean, people are already. Well, some people even claiming like J.K. didn't write it. Apparently, there's people like that anime Hatsune Miku person. Like, there's a meme where she wrote it now because like they just want to distance the stuff from it.
I think that. Yeah, I saw that.
That's interesting. Like, and I think that's like. I mean, it's funny at first, but like I think it does show like a need to like, have your books be separate from the author. And sometimes that can be as dangerous as like, you know, like, well, doing the opposite, I guess. Sometimes.
Yeah, I see that too. And while I do try to separate art from the artist in some ways, in other ways, I think that does, you know, sort of erase recognition of who that person is, either for good or bad reasons. And I think if you can still take a movie or a book or whatever it may be and appreciate it for what it is, but still recognize either problematic things in it or problematic things about who the person who created it, that's kind of the best way to go about it. You're not blocking anything out, but you're still taking the good.
Yeah. I mean, going a little bit back to like the whole, I guess, you know, when you talk about the kid not the kid, the teacher who brought in, like, obviously the sexual subtext and everything. I think I've had a kind of epiphany where it's like you can have like a political view or something, but there's also like there's more than one way to read something, and I don't think you should always make your version of it always like the right version. Like, I guess you could say there's like two ways to look at something. You can review it under the lens you have, and then you can review it somewhat as it is. So, like, I guess you could. I don't know, like, whatever those two I mean, I think I don't know. It's a weird thing. I see it a lot, really. I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things that I've been doing actually recently is watching reviews and analysis videos on the movie The Lighthouse that came out recently.
Oh yeah.
Because there's that movie is just so ambiguous that people can look at that movie and read it a million different ways. I've seen videos talking about the way it's connected to Greek mythology, reading it as like a cosmic horror story, the sexual subtext, stuff about, toxic masculinity being in there. Just from a historical standpoint, there's a lot of ways to look at just one thing that are, it is a subjective thing, and there are lots of readings of just one piece of art.
Yeah.
that yeah.
I always hate when you have a long conversation and then like you reach a point where it's like, oh, well, how do you follow up on this?
I know that feeling.
Yeah. Like sometimes, a lot of the things I talk about, they're already in my head. It's not like they're all come out. So like a lot some of the stuff I'm saying is literally like pre-prepared at some point in my life. I don't know. I guess when I was thinking about something. So like it's weird when you've emptied your head of all them and now you're like, oh well, do I have anything new, or do I just repeat the same stuff over and over?
Yep, let's have the same conversation again.
Yeah, I mean, literally could. I mean, I'm sure I've I say things every time I do one of these. I'm sure I'm saying the same things sometimes every time and just don't think about it. I guess. Like.
Well, yeah, but with a different person, it's always gonna to lead a slightly different direction. So repeating yourself isn't necessarily a bad thing. I do it a lot, actually.
But like so I suppose we should talk about some of the other things you do. I guess. So I mean, you do like book readings and things like that, or like that kind of stuff. So what's your whole thing with books? I guess.
With books, I do. I probably own too many books. There's a full book over here. My whole room is pretty much books and some CDs. I read too much. I have a whole stack of books that I've been waiting to get to from a couple years ago. I'm a huge reader with not enough time to read, but I have actually been doing some reading stuff on my YouTube channel as well. I've been reading Carmilla, classic Gothic vampire story, and doing like a chapter every other week, and it's definitely a really different thing for me, but it's helped me sort of find my sort of dramatic voice in some ways.
Yeah. I mean, I do want to do one of those book reading things, but it's going to be on when I eventually get my hands on a Ready Player One book. Because I mean, I hate the movie, but I know the book's even more infamous. So like, I'm interested in doing this. Like,
funny you say that. It's sitting right here next to me on the bookshelf.
Yeah.
So you haven't read this yet, or have you?
I've only seen like little excerpts, like things like I know about the monologue about masturbation. That's the main highlight for me.
Oh, that thing. Yeah, that's an interesting bit. The parts I really enjoy though are this guy just really loves his pop culture and will
Yeah.
go on little tangents of, basically living out your fantasy of being inside Monty Python and the Holy Grail or something. And
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
it's just this huge amalgam of a million fun pop culture things, and it's a really fun book.
Yeah. It depends. Fun, which way it, I suppose, depends on the person, I suppose.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'll probably end up like laughing at a lot of it, but I think a lot of it's like very, very egregious. Like, I definitely think it's not like my kind of thing. But I want to experience it because like there's not many books, I suppose, or types of writing that's like that, where it's literally just like the author being like, I really like this thing, let me monologue about this. Or,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so like I say, there's not many. Like you can tell things that influence an author, but like it's not often that writer's like, oh, I want to talk about the different parts of the DeLorean for like 6 chapters. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting.
Yeah. But that really is why I like this book so much, because it really is sort of taking that sort of fantasy of, wow, I wish I could sort of just live in the world of whatever this thing I really like is, and taking sort of this matrixy virtual reality element and saying, yeah, you can do that. Here's a whole book about it.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose I already have like prejudice, I suppose, against this book anyway. Like I think I want to, I mainly just want to have like a first time reaction to like reading it, I guess. But like, um, I don't know. Like I think a lot of it reflects kind of this like some of the problems that I see with the way people look at movies. I think because there's a lot of people who value themselves based on how much they know about a thing. If you get what I mean, like a,
Mm-hmm.
all the intricate details of a movie or something. Like there's people who value how much knowledge of that thing they have. And I used to be like that, but I find that once you've done that, like you actually end up enjoying the movie less because you know so much that like you can't experience anything new anymore. You can't like I guess like you always have one way of looking at it, and I guess like I don't know, like I think that's the wrong way of doing things.
Right. I see what you mean there. I like learning as much as I possibly can about the things I like, but not just to have this sort of database of knowledge on the thing. I do it because I think it's interesting and I enjoy learning new things.
Yeah, so there was just like I mean I used to be obsessed with like oh the law of stuff, but eventually like I have to even let that go because like if you adhere to another law or something so much, eventually it stops you from recognizing that people when they're making art just want to make what they want, even when it's a sequel. They want to do their thing, and even if it contradicts something, like sometimes you have to let it happen. I think,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah. So I suppose like I know you do a little bit of drawing. Like, are you much of like a artist in the drawing sense?
I am to some extent. I took art classes all through high school. That was probably my favorite class, and I've just visual art is another thing that I'm really passionate about. I wouldn't consider myself a professional artist by any means. I just enjoy drawing things, and I that's another sort of skill that I'm trying to learn, just getting better at drawing things and
Hmm.
sort of realism, because that's where I struggle. I can draw you a cartoony Tim Burton person in about 2 seconds, but if you want me to draw a real person, that's an issue.
I mean, I definitely couldn't draw people. Like my thing was I could do dinosaurs. I couldn't do like, I don't know, a normal human.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know, like, I had a weird thing with drawing, I guess. Like eventually I just lost it. I used to be really good as a kid, and then I don't know, I just started to lose it, I guess, when I started. And I found the problem where, like, even if I could try to do it now, if I had a piece of paper in front of us, I wouldn't have any ideas. I would just be blank, and that's, I don't know. I don't know what happened.
Oh, that happens a lot actually. But that's sort of why I try to like come up with little challenges for myself, and even if nothing else, I can be like, what movie character have I not tried to draw yet? Or
Oh yeah,
sometimes I'll just draw my hand just to see if I can get the proportions of that right.
oh yeah. That sounds like a way of getting you out of. I don't know. Can you call it writer's block? Because like that's mainly for typing, but like, I guess.
It, yeah, it's basically the same thing. It's artist block or
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. Like, so do you see yourself like, I don't know, maybe moving any of your contents like around drawing a bit more? Do you think?
Potentially, I don't know. There's a channel, The Art of Horror, and Kevin from that channel actually he does a lot of sort of the horror movie sort of review discussion type stuff, but along with that, this. He'll do like a time lapse of himself drawing something from whatever it is he's talking about, and he sort of synthesized sort of his artistic side with the sort of review side of things that he's doing, which I think is really cool. But I may just want to move into just doing some art stuff on my channel. I hadn't even really thought about that yet.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I was just wondering. 'Cause, like, I mean, I've never really seen you talk about it other than the occasional doodles I see on Twitter or whatever. So like, I was
Yeah,
just wondering.
it is something I enjoy doing, and I do it around horror quite a bit, but I haven't really, you know, talked about that on my channel, and I probably should. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, like, I didn't know what way you wanted to be, like, like like good, find some kind of career path with that or something, or do you think like,
Maybe. I don't know.
um, you know,
I
so,
yeah,
I mean,
I
do you think about the future much? Because like,
it's pretty important. I do think
yeah,
about that a lot. I'm just interested in so many different things that it's hard to pinpoint, this is what I want to do with my life. So I'm just sort of latching onto as many different things as I can at this point.
yeah. I mean, I think we've exhausted most of the stuff. Like, unless you have anything you want to talk about.
Um I know you you tend to sort of gravitate towards is it fair to say that you tend to gravitate towards like sort of dinosaur movies or giant shark type movies, those sort of that's kind of your
Well, lately I try to watch more like artsy smartsy stuff or like that kind of thing. So I like my stuff political, but I also I've grown up on all these dumb creature things all my life. So like,
yeah,
I suppose the reconciliation between like being pretentious and just wanting to have a good time. So like,
right, yeah.
so when I started this whole shark podcast thing, I was coming up with a thesis on what makes like, at least by my metric, what makes a good shark movie. Like the kind of like, because I have like a kind of system, like a kind of like, I guess like, I mean, there's four ways to like get a verdict on a movie about sharks. At least in my opinion, you've got good, bad, so bad's good, and then just like okay, and then that's kind of it. Um, so I don't know. Like, I suppose it's like it's some kind of thing where it's like, everyone talks about Jaws, but like, and then, or maybe Deep Blue Sea, and then everyone's like, oh, look, the rest suck, and I don't believe in that kind of thing. I don't believe in the idea that
Yeah,
that you limit it to that. 'Cause, like, there's so many bloody shark movies out there. There's probably 1,000 by now, like going back from
yeah,
like the 1970s. So like, I did recently. I think it was the third episode. I did find what I believe is a good shark movie when I was looking through like a bunch of DVDs at a charity shop. So like,
hmm
like a good movie can come from anywhere, like, and even surprise you. So I think I don't know. Like, I like doing that sort of thing. I think.
yeah. Uh, there is one other question I have, which is I haven't watched as many of your reviews. I
Yeah.
really need to, but what would you say is like your favorite so bad it's good shark movie if you had to pick?
So like things like Sharknado, like I hate, because they're very too intentional. They're too meta. They're too obvious to the point where it just doesn't work for me. It feels, in fact, it feels kind of like mean spirited and horrible in some ways. Um, One of my favorite ones is Ghost Shark, because this is a movie by a shark because of a ghost, obviously. But the shark can kill you from any form of water in from any form of like environment. So like, it can come out of a bucket, it can come out of a hose pipe, kill you in the bath. My favorite kill in that movie is where it kills you from the rain. Because like, you think, oh well, it can't get us now. We're on land, and suddenly it starts raining and it falls from the sky and eats a guy.
That's
Like,
amazing.
yeah, so like, I suppose at the minute, I suppose it's that one, because like, there are a lot of like gimmicky movies, like Two Headed Shark Attack, for example. I hate that movie with a visceral passion. Like, everything about that, like, it's horrible. So like, there's times where like gimmicks like that don't work, and
hmm
I suppose you just have to figure out like what makes them work for you. I suppose.
Yeah, yeah. I never got into shark movies as much, but I know there's a lot of bad ones and a lot of really fun ones out there. So I will have to check out Ghost Shark for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's a Ghost Shark too. I haven't even tried it yet. Apparently, it's
Mm.
completely boring. So like,
I
but
don't know how you make that boring, but okay.
yeah, like, I think I hear something about there's too much human stuff. I guess. Like, I don't agree with that kind of criticism, but like, I can see what they mean when it's like you go and watch, because all the humans in Ghost Shark One, they're all just, well, characters. Like the first two people to die, the people who kill the shark in the beginning are a bunch of crazy like hillbilly American guys shooting like guns and stuff at a shark, and
hmm
like, so a lot of those characters feel like just like caricatures, really, rather than, I guess, like
Yeah,
serious takes. So like, I suppose I hear that Ghost Shark 2 got serious in a weird way.
I don't think that's the right direction to take a series called Ghost Shark, but
Well,
okay,
I give everyone props for attempting something, even if it
yeah.
falls flat in his face. I always give them a shot. I mean, like,
Mhm.
what's your kind of movie? Is it, I mean, other than horrors, like, what's your big thing? Like, do you have
Uh,
like,
outside of horror, I'm big on like sword and sorcery fantasy type stuff.
yeah,
I can probably quote all the Lord of the Rings movies verbatim to you if you really wanted me to, because I've
oh, yeah?
watched them
Well, we'll have to do a stream
so
on that
many
sometime.
times.
Just like just seeing the entire movie.
Yeah.
But no, it's like,
Uh, so yeah, those movies. I'm trying to think
I
what
mean, you
else.
talk like B movies a bit. Does that come under horror, like a bit, or is it like its own thing? Like, what was it? Was that what one? Killer Shrews or whatever? Attack of the
Killer
Giant.
Shrews.
Yeah, like is that a horror or is that its own thing to you?
I'd call that one a horror movie for sure. It
Yeah.
does it's silly. It's about mutant shrews, but it is trying to be creepy, and it actually sort of manages that in some ways because these people are stuck in this place with these mutant shrews that want to kill them, and
Mm.
it's definitely a horror movie. I wouldn't call it a good horror movie, but it does fall in that realm.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, unless I can't think of anything more. I think we've exhausted all the stuff I want to know. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess we'll end now. It's probably a good time to do so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, thank you for joining me, Anthro. I'll leave the social links down below. Are you doing anything soon that people might be interested in?
Let me think. This Saturday, I'm gonna be filming my review for a movie called The Snake People. I know nothing about it. It should be fun. But that's kind of the next thing that I've got on my plate. So if people want to check that out, that should be there.
Nice. I mean, my thing has been trying to organize these things, so like I'm trying to get more people on, and some people seem interested. So like I feel like I was a bit worried about this, but I think I'm more confident now. I think people are interested, and uh, I mean it feels good. But
Mm-hmm.
so like thank you for coming on as well. Like it's I guess I feel more confident about the way this is going. I guess.
Yeah. Well, I enjoyed doing this, so thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, I mean, no problem. So, well, thank you all for joining me. I've been James. Check out Anthro. Anthro's cool. Are you cool?
I think so. I'm not sure, but I think so.
No, well, anyway, bye bye.
Bye.